Explainer. Today, we're doing a total teardown. We're going to reverse engineer exactly how heavy-duty, long-haul trucks are ditching those noisy, vibrating diesel engines for this fascinating zero-emission chemical ballet. And specifically, we're really going to zero in on exactly how hydrogen fuel cells generate the electricity needed to power these massive vehicles. It's pretty incredible.
So I want you to start by just visualizing something with me. Imagine ripping out a 40-ton semi-truck soot-covered diesel engine. No more explosions under the hood, no more black smoke pouring out of the exhaust stacks. Instead, we're using just compressed hydrogen and everyday oxygen from the air to quietly power the whole thing. It is a completely different paradigm for transportation. Here's our roadmap for today. We'll be covering the end of diesel inside the fuel cell, the chemical ballet, torque without the turbulence, and finally, the hydrogen highway.
Section 1. The end of diesel. Shifting gears in logistics. Look, for over a century, traditional diesel engines have literally been the undisputed kings of the road. But, well, things are changing fast. As we approach the year 2026, these new super strict fleet emission mandates and rigid carbon regulations are putting intense pressure on logistics companies. Basically, they're being forced to look beyond diesel and rapidly find viable, clean alternatives. The clock is definitely ticking for fleet operators.
Now you might be thinking, what about batteries? Well, lithium batteries are absolutely fantastic for short, local routes, but their massive weight and slow charging times kind of make them wildly impractical for really long distances. So that leaves energy-dense hydrogen fuel cells as the only realistic zero-emission solution for, say, a 1,000-mile freight run that needs to be refueled in mere minutes. It's a real game-changer for the logistics world.
Moving on to Section 2, Inside the Fuel Cell, Anatomy of the Stack.
Okay, let's dive right into the heart of it. Inside the fuel cell stack, you've got hundreds of these layered cells. First, at the anode side, compressed hydrogen gas flows in. Then, a platinum catalyst acts on that gas, literally splitting each hydrogen molecule into protons and electrons. And here's the clever part. Because of how the cell is designed, those electrons are forced outward through an external circuit. That exact movement of electrons, that is the usable electricity powering the truck.
The absolutely crucial player in all of this is the proton exchange membrane. Think of it kind of like a microscopic, ultra-strict bouncer. It's basically a super thin polymer sheet that safely separates the electrons and allows only the positively charged protons to cross over. By forcing the electrons to take a detour through that circuit we just talked about, this membrane is what guarantees an electric current is generated. No detour, no power.
Which brings us to Section 3. The chemical ballet, recombining for power.
So, the real magic of this entire system comes down to one simple reunion. The protons that successfully cross the membrane, the returning electrons from that circuit, and oxygen pulled straight from the outside air all meet up. They perfectly combine to produce the truck's one and only byproduct, pure water vapor. Seriously, no soot, no carbon, just H2O. It's brilliant chemistry.
But you're probably wondering, how does that microscopic chemistry actually move a massive semi-truck? Well, the electricity generated from this clean reaction flows straight into a relatively small, high-voltage buffer battery. That buffer battery then acts as the direct power source, feeding all that electricity into the heavy-duty electric motors that actually drive the heavy wheels.
When you stop to visualize that these massive Class A trucks can weigh up to 80,000 pounds fully loaded, that's incredibly heavy. It's absolutely remarkable how highly responsive they feel under electric power. You are literally moving 80,000 pounds with nothing but the electricity generated from hydrogen and oxygen. Mind-blowing, right?
All right. Section 4, Torque without the turbulence, performance on the road.
The difference when you're actually behind the wheel is staggering. As you probably know, traditional turbo diesel engines require time to spool up before delivering their pulling power. You have to wait for it. But because hydrogen fuel cell trucks use electric motors, they deliver massive, smooth torque instantly. This makes pulling heavy loads up steep mountain passes infinitely safer and, frankly, way more predictable.
Having access to 100% of your pulling torque at exactly 0 RPM, that's a total game changer. It results in a quiet, vibration-free powerhouse that drivers actually enjoy operating. The sheer physical toll of that constant engine vibration on the driver is just completely gone.
Furthermore, to squeeze out every drop of efficiency, the truck utilizes these incredibly advanced thermal management systems. They actually recycle the fuel cell's natural waste heat to warm the driver's cabin during the winter, while simultaneously maintaining the optimal temperature for the fuel cell stack itself. And on top of that, regenerative braking captures descent energy during those long downhills, feeding it right back into that buffer battery we talked about earlier.
Finally, Section 5, the hydrogen highway, the new grid of the open road.
So the refueling experience is actually surprisingly familiar, yet totally modernized. Refueling the truck's carbon fiber tanks takes just 10 to 15 minutes using high-pressure dispensers. But what makes this a true revolution is the source of the fuel. When these stations are powered by green hydrogen, meaning hydrogen produced from surplus solar or wind power, the entire life cycle of the fuel and the freight itself becomes totally 100% zero carbon, no emissions anywhere in the chain.
The logistics industry isn't waiting around either. They're rapidly building out these hydrogen corridors across North America, Europe, and Asia. This means those strict emission mandates hitting in 2026 will quickly pave the way for an entirely new reality. Actually, by 2030, we are likely to see autonomous, hydrogen-powered fleets operating 24/7. That is going to fundamentally alter the entire economics of long-haul logistics.
As we wrap up this explainer on the future of heavy trucking, I really want to leave you with a question. Knowing the microscopic chemistry, the incredible engineering, and the safety measures behind all of this, how would you feel about sharing the highway with these massive, silent, hydrogen semi-trucks? Are we looking at the inevitable future of global transit, or is this just a stepping stone? Think about it. Thanks for hanging out and joining me on this deep dive.